Got
It's recording.
Okay.
It's recording.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, we're recording.
The beginning of every single episode is like, who are we? Where are we? Is it recording? What is happening? It's
Oh my
fine.
God.
It's fine.
This is the first time though that we've like dove in with like no
Preamble
like,
between the two of us. Yeah. Okay. That will make things better, I think. Who knows? Because we haven't talked in a little while. I mean, we texted, but we haven't like caught up in a little while. So this will be fun. We've got things to talk about. Just before we get into our gossip and catching up, this is the Muscle Science for Women podcast. Thank you all for being here. I'm Ashleigh. You are?
I'm Rachel.
And we are here to talk about getting buff and strong and healthy, not necessarily in that order, although some people might prioritize it that way, but they're all good. But first, before we kind of chat about like muscle stuff, shall we just talk about what's going on in life in general?
Yeah, let's do it. You start. You start because I talked a lot the last episode. So like
that's good. That's a good thing, honestly. The less I talk, probably the better. I will say the one thing that's kind of top of mind right now, and the cool thing about recording and then it doesn't come out for a couple of weeks, is that I can like talk about stuff that hasn't happened yet. It's like sort of like peeking into the future. But right now I am prepping. It feels weird to even say this out loud because it's like a secret, but I'm surprising my friend for her birthday in Las Vegas this weekend. And it is my it's my first trip without my child since he's been born. And it's like literally like my second solo trip since the beginning of the pandemic. Like I used to travel. I would probably get on a plane once a month, like pre-pandemic, like going to New York, just going to work stuff, like going, whatever. I traveled a lot and I've traveled. I've actually been on a plane probably like 6 times in the last year, but it's been like going home and with my baby and like not, for fun necessarily. But I'm surprising her in Vegas. I'm going to be there for like 48 hours. It's like the shortest trip ever. And I have so much anxiety about it. I cannot even tell you.
Why?
Because I'm leaving my child.
Okay.
I'm going across the continent. This is the thing. Like I wish for my first trip, I could have just like gone to New York for a couple, like it's because it's so close and like it's, just, I'm still a plane ride away, but like there's something about going, because I'm on the East Coast. I'm currently essentially on the East Coast of Canada, going to the West Coast of America. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out about it. But like, I'm very excited and I know it's a good thing. And I get to like sit by a pool with my friend who I haven't seen in like 3 years. And it's going to be amazing. Wow. But I am just like, I literally am waking up every morning at like 5:30 being like, I don't, I'm like one of those people. I'm like, and I think it's very normal new mom jitters. And I think like doing it once and it will be successful and I'll make it there and I'll make it home and the baby will be fine and everything will be fine. But like the anticipation is like very real. So I'm terrified.
Ellie, you're leaving the baby with your husband, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like it's like some stranger or somebody else, right?
No. And he's going to be real tired when these 3 days are up because I obviously have spent like, round the clock because Alex travels for work all the time and stuff. And I mean, he's around a lot. He's great, but like, he's been away a lot too. And he has never been like, he's never had like a 24-hour period with just him and Magnus. So like, he's going to have a real like reckoning. That's going to be hilarious. He'll be absolutely fine. I can't wait to hear how tired he is. Because I'm like, hey, welcome to the club. But I'm also like, I'm trying to be positive. I'm thinking like, okay, I've got a long flight ahead of me. Like the travel is very long too, which is why I'm only going for such a short period of time. But I'm like, I'm gonna have a book. And even if like the travel is annoying, because as we know, travel is a nightmare all the time now. I'm like, at least it's like, I don't have to worry about my child and I'm not like, whatever, it's just me. I'm just like back to independent Ashleigh, just jet setting around. I'm like, I'm very excited, but I'm also excited because my friend has like no idea that I'm coming and I'm going to like surprise her in a big way. So I'm very excited.
That's so awesome. I am excited for you and it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
So just like,
all right.
Just have, maybe a glass of wine on the flight. I don't know.
Yeah, at least. That's the other problem too. I'm leaving a country where marijuana is legal, which would calm me down perfectly to a place where it's not, well, I don't even know. Is Vegas?
It is legal. Vegas. I don't know. Probably. In
any case, anymore? I can't travel with it. So I'm just going to have to be like raw dog in reality on my flight over there. I'm just gonna be like,
God.
fine, I'll just do some deep breathing or something, listen to a podcast. I don't know. So anyway, that's my news.
That's exciting. I am stoked for you.
Thank you. I will keep you guys posted. And once I get there and surprise her, I will definitely post some pictures from the pool and or whatever steakhouse we will be eating at. Cause obviously, so yeah, so that's that. But yeah, awesome. you had a fun trip recently that you then hurt yourself at the end of.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was actually like midway. It was kind of midway through that I hurt myself, but yeah, I went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Amazing, fun time. I actually, when I got there for the first 3 days, everybody was like, have you ever been here before? I was like, and I kept saying, yeah, I came 10 years ago with my family. And then Alex was like, it hasn't been 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, you were in college. And I was like, oh crap, I am old. It was 20 years ago that I went with my family. And I was like telling everybody for literally the first 3 days, I was like, yeah, I was here 10 years ago with my family. I was 10 years old.
All that means is that you have hit the age range where like time like starts to lose meaning. Like I think like, you know, the 80s was like 25 to 30 years ago because I was born in the 80s. So like that kind of that checks out for me. And then I'm like, oh wait, actually, no. So congratulations. You're an adult now. When you start losing track of time.
Oh my God. I was just like, it hit me when I realized that. I was like, holy crap. It's been 20 years since I was like a child.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went 20 years ago with my family and I don't remember all, like I remember remembered little pieces of it, but we did all the things, you know, lots of hikes, whitewater rafting, horseback riding, Yellowstone, like the whole park, like going around the whole loop. So yeah, if anybody is planning and listening to this and planning to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for a trip, I actually have a whole list that I wrote down of all the things I did, all the kind of tips and things like that. Restaurants, like really good. They have some really good restaurants. So hit us up on our email list. It's
Muscle Science for Women. And the 4 is the number, Muscle Science for Women @gmail.com. Send us all of your fun stories or rants or questions or comments because we read them all. And if they're good and entertaining, we will read them out on the podcast. So yes.
And I will be happy to share that list with anybody who wants to go to Jackson Hole. So, but just to let you know about that ankle sprain, because it was awesome. We were like, it was literally on Alex's 30th birthday because she's old now. And we were there and it was
everybody listening who's like over 40 is like, stop it.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was on her birthday. We're like, okay, the day before we're like, of course I came unprepared. And so I had like my Nike shoes that are super old. And I was like, oh, I'll just bring these for hiking because they're old and they can get dirty. No grip on the bottom, no nothing. So the day before that, we're like, okay, we're going to go on this 7-mile hike, like through literally the woods and like had to have bear spray and all this stuff like on our own. And I'm like, I can't go in these shoes. So we go and I buy a $160 pair of hiking boots at one of the stores. And I'm like, yes, like I'm ready to go. They have like the high ankle too. Mm-hmm. So the next day I put the shoes on, we go start this 7-mile hike. A mile in to the hike, I was like all ready. I was just like excited. I was like kind of going fast paced. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my heart rate up a little bit and like start going. Freaking, you know, hit a rock and do the typical ankle roll 1 mile into a 7-mile hike. And I'm just like, I was, you know, the initial when you hurt yourself and you're like, and it's an ankle sprain, you're like, oh, like this really, really hurts, but I just need to like sit down for like a minute and like see if it was actually really bad or not. Mm-hmm. And so it ended up being like, I was sitting there for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. Like it's just bad. So then I stood up and I was like, all right, like I can walk a little bit. Let me just grab this stick and like see if I can use it as a cane. And so I started to kind of walk it out and I basically just tied my shoe really tight, sort of like as tight as possible, mm-hmm. and ended up being able to complete it. So we did the 7 miles.
You didn't. Oh my God. Well, okay. Like, listeners, do not do what Rachel just said. Okay, do not do what she did. Okay. That is not smart.
Okay. But I will say this. It was one of those scenarios where it's like, if you've ever played basketball or any type of sport and you sprain your ankle and you're like, okay, is this really like a horrible, horrible sprain, like grade 2 and above or 3 and above, whatever it is. I don't remember them anymore. Or is it one of those ones where it's like, okay, I need just like 10 minutes. I'm going to tape it back up and get back in the game. It was one of those. It was like, I need 10 minutes. I need to tape it back up and get back in the game and I'll be fine. And then do all the stuff afterwards. Obviously I didn't have tape with me, but I tied it up tight and it wasn't that bad. I had that stick that I used and, we made it and it was fine. And it swelled up a little bit, but it's actually really, it's fine. So yeah, it's all fine. Just gonna say that. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Hobbling through a 7-mile hike with brand new boots and a sprained ankle is not advised by the Muscle Science for Women coaches. Do as we say and not as we do in this scenario.
Yeah.
But yes. Okay. So, but how are you like recovering now? Like you just kind of like iced it and you're taking it easy. Like, yeah.
It's all fine.
Yeah. Okay, great.
The only annoying thing is that I already have shit ankle mobility and I've had surgery on the ankle that I've sprained when I 20 plus years ago. Oh my gosh. And I had surgery on my leg. So like my ankles are, and I've sprained them several times just growing up playing basketball and all the sports, like softball and all that shit stuff. Oh my gosh, I cursed.
It's fine. We've decided that this is not going to be a PG-13 podcast because it's too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing that I'm annoyed about is that I'm like, crap, now my squats are going to suck even more because my ankle mobility is now going to be more shit.
Well, it's quite possible.
I just gotta work on it.
It's quite possible. But I mean, the other thing too, is like most people probably wouldn't advise like going on a long hike with brand new hiking boots. Although I will say like they are, I don't know what ones you got or whatever, but like they have some pretty amazing like hiking boots that are like, you will not get blisters. They are like, really good support. Like I have a pair that I hiked like the end of the Appalachian Trail. I don't know if people who know this very well, Mount Katahdin. It's like a super high, rocky, awesome. Whoa, those are badass. What brand is that? Is that Merrill?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. But these are like legit and they're super comfy. Altra, A-L-T-R-A. They're like one of the newer brands, but look at this, like legit. I also didn't tie them tight enough like when I first started, but
they give me Back to the Future vibes a little bit. Like they kind of have like a retro sort of, I'm into it. I'm very into it.
If you're listening and not watching, you should watch because
those are actually
cool things.
Those are actually very, very cool. All right. So you have survived. You made a questionable, coaching decision there with yourself, but that's why we need coaches, because if I was there, I would have been like, let's go back to the place and eat food or something. And to me, that would have been maybe a better decision, but anyway, you're fine. You're strong. You're going to work on your ankle mobility. Everything's good. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else we want to talk about before we talk about the big September announcement that we're very excited about?
I don't think so. I do remember that we did say like a lot last episode that we were going to talk about like a lot of other stuff. So I think that we will talk about that over the next few episodes. I think there were some things that I noted down, but
well, I mean, we can talk about, we can talk about like, you can give us some highlights from your post photo or your photo shoot, right? And then maybe some like post photo shoot adjustments or like kind of how things are different or not or whatever after that.
Yeah.
Like how'd it go? Was it fun? Was it awesome? You looked great, of course.
Thanks. Yes, it was awesome. It was probably one of the hardest things I've done for, because it was a video shoot, not a photo shoot, but well, actually there was a photo shoot the 4th day, but it was a 5-day video shoot, like all day long type thing. Amazing, experience, had a really great team there who like, I couldn't do any of it without them. But yeah, it was definitely hard. But it was one of those things where it was just after you finish, you're like, holy crap, I did that. And you just feel freaking awesome. So yeah, it was awesome that all the stuff will be coming out over the course of the next year-ish. And now I am in my reverse diet because we talked all about the kind of dieting process and my approach to that. So if you didn't listen to that episode, that was the last episode, dove into all of that. And yeah, after the video shoot, I was in Boulder for another 3 days. I didn't track anything for those 3 days. I was eating we had I think it was like two 10-pound or two 15-pound, so 30 pounds of smoked pork shoulder.
Oh,
that Lincoln smoked for like 24 hours. He's an ex-Michelin star chef. He was on Iron Chef of America. He was a sous chef years ago. He calls it another life. But he did that, and it was literally like I'm pretty sure I ate like 2 pounds of it. And then he made paneg cakes, pancakes and eggs, where you basically make the pancake and then you put the egg on top of it.
That's the thing that I like commented on, that I was like, what the hell? I need it. I need it. It looks my God. So good.
So he used the, he made pancakes and then he put the eggs on top, and it was like berry pancakes. This sounds weird, but it was really good. So like blueberry pancakes with the like over easy eggs or whatever, sunny side eggs up on top, and then crispy pork from the pork shoulder, like carnitas on top of that. God. Syrup sounds like, weird, but like sweet, savory.
No, that's all
art
delicious.
From the berries. I was like in heaven. So obviously, you need to celebrate after you do something like that, celebrate. But the thing where people have an issue is where they end their diet and they celebrate, but then they keep celebrating and they don't pay attention.
For 6 months. Yeah.
For 6 months. And that's where you get into trouble, because it's like, okay, you just work so hard to lose the body fat or whatever it was, right? Obviously on a diet, losing the body fat is the priority. And you can absolutely celebrate. You can absolutely have a few days where you don't track, you eat, whatever, celebrate, do all that stuff. But then right when I came home, that I had a delayed flight, and I won't get into that, but hopefully that doesn't happen for you. But my flight got canceled and I ended up having to come home the next morning. It was a disaster, but made it home. And then I spent that week just getting right back into my routine. Normal, like back to, eating, bringing calories up a little bit to sort of start the reverse diet. And then I went on this trip the next week, right, to Jackson Hole. And my intention was to stay pretty dialed in with the calorie goal. However, I was on vacation and I was enjoying myself, and there were some foods that I was like, this is worth it to me. So I ended up like very roughly tracking, probably eating above the calorie goal, definitely eating above the calorie goal that I had intended. But I was also doing I think I ended each day with like 18,000 steps. So I was super active, right? So it balanced out a little bit. So yeah, I wasn't super on track with that, and I wasn't perfect by any means, but now I'm back home and I'm just getting right back into what my plan was and going from here. And I actually, not that the scale matters too much, but I came back from that trip and I weighed in, at the same, actually a little bit below when I came back from my initial video shoot. So that, all that to be said is that you can absolutely celebrate, live your life, enjoy it. Don't be so doesn't have to be by the book exactly, but as long as you are consistent with what you're doing over time and you have a plan moving forward and you can get back into your routine, that's where the magic happens, right? It's not the perfection. It's not the, oh my gosh, I, did all this hard work for many months and then I went on vacation and I blew it all. I'm just going to keep blowing it until Christmas. You don't have to do that, right? Just get back to what you were doing, get back to the plan, and everything will be fine. Yep. So that's all I got to say for that.
Consistency is everything. Everything.
Yep.
I was curious about, during your video photo shoot, it looked like you obviously had a very sweet, fancy setup over there with your team. And I can't wait until we are doing that together, mostly so I can get pancakes with pork on it. Cause I'll be dreaming about that for the rest of my life. But you had like a wardrobe. Did somebody provide that for you? No.
So that was, it probably would have been a good idea to actually get that, get some sort of sponsorship or whatever, but we were kind of just going and didn't really plan that out all that well. But yeah, that was all Lululemon gear that we had bought. It was part of the budget for the shoot. A lot of it though, actually half of it I didn't use, so I returned it. But it was kind of going into it with all of the colors that we wanted to have available, because, and this is stuff that I don't know anything about, but like the director, Lauren, and the artsy fartsy people is what I call them, because I do not know that stuff. You don't know what something's going to look like until you're on set. You have the lights, you have to like do what we call zhuzhing of all the lights. And I don't do it, but they do it. And so you don't know like what something's going to look like until you're there. So we just basically bought all the different stuff, tons of different colors and stuff to kind of test out. And then, like didn't use half of it, but
so fancy.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
It was cool though.
Yeah, we that's part of our Muscle Science for Women 2023 business plan is for us to do a fun photo video shoot together, not just because it will be fun, but also to kind of continue to upgrade the program, which is what we do every iteration, right? We've done it. This will be 3 times this launch that we're going to talk about now, right? That'll be our 3rd launch. And we are going to obviously continue to sort of improve it and make it better every year, because that's what you do as we are continuing to learn and get better ourselves. But yeah, I can't wait until we can like do this together and have fun and tease each other in person. It's going to be great. So that's it. September, we've got we're opening up Muscle Science for Women again. We've had people kind of asking us obviously for a while, and we've had people asking for maybe slight differences in terms of how they want to access and use the program, right? And so we've been kind of listening to that. And that's why the September launch will be a little bit different. Can we kind of talk about that a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, basically you jump in if I'm saying anything wrong, but I think we know how this is working is sort of
hold up a sign and be like, no,
that's inaccurate.
Say that.
Yeah. No, but basically like the biggest thing is that for the first couple times that we were launching this, when we really wanted to get like a good sense of how people use the course, what they really liked about it, what we could improve, we went along, we started like cohorts. So we had like a group sign up, and then that same group went through the whole program, the 12-week training program, as well as all the course content, the lectures, all of that stuff together. And we did that a couple times. And I definitely see some value in that. I think it makes sense to, maybe potentially, or sometimes have that as an option. But a lot of people kind of came back saying like, obviously this content is fantastic. Of course it is. But I mean, people kind of want to do things on their own time and their own schedule and stuff like that. So what we're doing this time that's a little bit different is instead of a cohort, a group starting together and going through it together, we are going to sort of open the cart, have this like sort of updated program for you. And then you do it on your own time. You start when you want to start, you purchase it. It starts right away. You of course have access to it forever, right? So you can stop if you need to, you can restart it again at the end and just kind of keep making changes and adjustments. But the idea is that we are still there for you as your sort of like digital internet coaches. You can still ask us questions, reach out to us. We're in there in the portal, talking to you guys, but you're not kind of going along with the rest of the folks doing it unless you want to, like you can kind of have those conversations in the program if you want to like buddy up and make some friends and stuff. But it's just a little bit more freedom to kind of do it on your own time, which is just basically one of the bigger kind of pieces of feedback that a lot of people seem to want. So that's it. You make it completely your own when you sign up this time around.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would say that like, I mean, as I'm just kind of thinking about it, the only difference between this time is that we're not having the biweekly live calls, but they still have direct access to ask, like you still have direct access to ask us questions. You have like any day, 24/7, we have like a forum that you can comment on. And we're in there, answering questions and things like that. And you'll also have access to the replays of the previous live calls. So those have, common questions that people have asked before that you can rewatch. It's still going to be going like once you sign up, that's your start date, and it will basically drip out over that 12 weeks. So you'll get updates every week with the new lessons. You'll get the updated training phases as they come out, because there's 3 different phases. So yeah, you basically get, it's everything that the live program has. It's just not the biweekly calls. However, I was thinking that maybe, throughout the time, maybe we do like a live call once a month or something like that, and don't we haven't talked about this yet. So,
well, it's funny because as you were talking and as I was talking, like one of the things about this program that's so good is that we do have that kind of online community aspect and people can ask us questions all the time. So what we could do is, a week or two in or whatever, we can do a poll and be like, do you guys want to do one call a month? Do you want to do a call halfway through and then a call at the end? Because basically it was just tricky with the live calls because people are all over the world. They're all over certainly the country. There's different time zones. And if we want to do that, we really want to have like good buy-in. We want people to be joining in. We want it to be valuable to you guys. So maybe if we can kind of all come together a couple times and try to find times that work for everybody. But like we can ask in the program and be like, do you guys want it? Do you want to talk to us? Or would you rather just ask your questions personally? Like we can kind of play with it. So, the flexibility is there. The option is there for sure. We'll just kind of see once we get the folks signed up in September, we'll just see what people want and we'll give them what they want because that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds good. And I also wanted to mention too, that we do have quite a bit of testimonials from the women who have gone through the program in the past. If you want to check those out, we have those all on YouTube. So if you can go, actually, I'll make a note to add that link in the description below. It's the playlist for Muscle Science for Women. It's actually where all of these podcasts are put as well on both of our YouTube channels. So I will link that and you can just hear from we asked some questions. I believe it was like 6 or 7 testimonials just from women giving their experience through the program, what they learned, their results, all of that. So if you want to learn a little bit more from not just us telling you, but actual women who have gone through the program, definitely check those out. And some of them are also on the sign up page. So metflexlife.com/MSW. On that page, you'll see transformation pictures. You'll see, again, feedback from the members who have gone through it, videos, all that jazz is there as well. So that's kind of the main hub page, metflexlife.com/MSW.
And I think that the day that this podcast comes out is like the day that we're opening registration, or it's very close. Like, will it be open when this goes live?
Maybe we make it the day this goes live. If it will be live, either it's the day that this goes out or a few days before, but in early September. And then, if you're listening to this episode in like months from now, just still visit that page because it still should be open. If not, we end up closing it and then we want to, to do something else with it or whatever, on that page, you will still be able to sign up for the waiting list if we do end up closing it. If not, go to metflexlife.com/MSW and all the info will be there. So
awesome. I'm excited as always before we, this is still a relatively new program for us, but every time we kind of relaunch and we get people signed up, I'm always so excited because this podcast, literally we created this podcast to talk about muscle science for women and all of the accompanying knowledge and resources. But like we also get to toot our own horn. And like, this is a really, really high level quality program that like gives women a ton of information and resources that have been really changing for a lot of people. I mean, going through this process of creating it with you, I've learned a lot of stuff and I've improved some things in my own health. And I'm looking forward to kind of going through it, sort of myself in September, because I've officially hit like a year postpartum. I've got a babysitter lined up for like four mornings a week now. So like I could go to the gym regularly again. So like shit's going to get real. I'm going to build some muscle back. I'm very excited about it. So I'm really pumped to see people like not only just do the course and like it, but like the things that they learn about themselves and the like confidence and excitement and happiness they have about working out and like learning all this stuff is just really awesome and really special. And it's like stuff that you can take with you for the rest of your life, right? It's not a 12-week course. Here's the training. Here's a PDF. See you later. Never again. This is like real kind of like lifelong stuff that people can use and tools that will last forever. So super pumped for people to sign up and go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot to mention one thing too. We do have the course curriculum. Like we have the whole laid out 3 months of like exactly what you get each week, how the phases and all that are laid out as well. So that is on the page that I mentioned, metflexlife.com/MSW. link will be in the description. If you scroll down to the bottom, I believe the course curriculum is laid out there. It's like a drop-down menu for each week. So you just click it like week 1, week 2, week 3, and it'll show you exactly what the lessons are, what you're going to learn, all that jazz. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. And again, like you can go to that website and there's pretty much all the information you could need. But if you do have any like really specific questions, the muscle science for women at gmail.com. You can ask us any questions you want there, or you can reach out to us personally through our websites, through our Instagram, which is all in the show notes. There's tons of ways to reach out to us, and we are real people on those accounts that will respond to you. So reach out because we're happy to talk to you.
Reach out for sure. Should we answer a question?
You got one? You got one queued up?
I'm like looking at, give me a second. Cause I just thought about it and I realized that I texted you like 3 weeks ago a question, or 2 weeks ago a question that someone sent me. So I'm just looking back at our text. So
oh boy,
give me a minute.
Do you really want to scroll through text right now? Is that a?
I mean, like I have it here. It's actually, technology. I think I sent you a screenshot of it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to look at our photos.
3 weeks ago is like a lifetime ago, my friend.
No, it's fine. Oh, I think I have it. Okay. So, give me like 1 minute and then.
Okay. I'll distract everyone.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you distract. No, I don't have it. Go distract.
I've got nothing. What snacks should I bring on a very long plane ride?
Jerky.
How many bikinis should I bring for a 2-day trip to Vegas?
I found it.
Okay, good. Great. Do you have answers to either of those? Yeah. Beef jerky and how many bikinis? Anywhere between 1 and 6.
Who needs a bikini anymore?
It's
just
true, actually.
Nude.
Some of those pools, you really don't have to be wearing a lot of clothes. So that's a good point. Okay. Question. Let's go.
Okay. Question. We got it. So, hi, exclamation point. Subjects.
Okay. It's a real detailed intro.
So I took a screenshot of it. I'm trying to find the person's name, but apparently I did not screenshot the whole thing. So I'm sorry for whoever asked this question. I do not have your name. I will go back and find it. But it says, I'm really looking forward to listening to this podcast. A few subjects I would like to hear more on. And we can maybe talk about these in future episodes as well, because there's a few here and I didn't read this before we started recording. So sorry. But she said, obviously you girls are too young for menopause, but it's tricky navigating the whole thing while trying to train and eat properly. Your body just has a mind of its own, and it's hard when you hardly recognize yourself. She said, I tried keto and enjoyed it, but became a hyper responder, and my physician freaked when she saw my LDL. So I had to increase my carbs, and that's where it's a challenge. It's easier to have almost none than having 100 grams. It's like telling an alcoholic you can have 2 beers a day, with some emojis. So she said, any tips or advice or anything like that to help with basically getting away from the all or nothing mindset with carbs?
Yeah. This is a tough one because it seems like, and again, we need more information to really give any like real prescriptive suggestions, but like there's 2 sort of parallel lines here. One being like the physiology and how your hormones are changing and how that impacts how you respond to things like food and training and stress and all those things. And then there's sort of like the mental psychology side of, how to find a more peaceful relationship with food and how that can be really tough. And, we've talked about this in previous episodes over and over again about how really strict or really prescriptive diets can actually be easy in one regard because you don't have to think, you don't have to make decisions, you don't have to, do much except blindly and strictly follow rules, right? But those rules can and probably will change as your goals change, as you get older, as your hormones change, all of these things. So, and it's funny, I've gotten a couple emails like similarly lately, but more about the like carnivore side of like, carnivore like worked really well, but, and like list all these issues that kind of say like how it's not working that well, right? But I mean, I think that probably the answer is twofold. And some of it has to do with like learning a more deeply personalized approach to nutrition that works for you, instead of like, yeah, maybe keto works to an extent and maybe it worked for you for a little while. But maybe you do require maybe a bit more carbs. Maybe you need to eat more protein. Maybe you need to eat more in general. I don't know, but maybe you need to find carb sources that are not as triggering for you so that it's not tough to only eat 100 grams. Do you know what I mean? Like, like, again, it's like the whole like sweets thing, right? It's like, I would rather eat 0 cookies than eat 1 cookie. That I get her totally on that part. It's like, I'd rather eat none than eat a small amount of something I find really delicious. So instead, I'm going to like make informed choices like you did recently on your trip, where I'm like, this food in front of me is absolutely worth this higher calorie, this off plan, this however I might feel afterwards. It's absolutely worth it because I know what my plan is consistently. I know what this is going to do for me. I know how it's going to make me feel. I can make sort of like practical choices instead of emotional ones. But then also knowing when to say it's not worth it. Whatever. It also 100 grams of carbs you could really physiologically be sort of on this teetering point where it's like keeping you dependent on carbs, but it's not quite enough to actually be fueling you. You may need more carbs, which is something that might be hard to hear. Again, I don't know, because I don't know this person or what her sort of situation is, but I think, and I'll let you kind of follow up here in a second, because I could keep going down rabbit holes. But I think another thing that's important, especially during, I don't know if you said she was in menopause or perimenopause or like on her way there. But that's a pretty long period of like fluctuating hormones until then menopause is sort of like a bottoming out of hormones. And these things are going to change, and you're going to like, what works one day may not work tomorrow and a month later and all of these things. And so I think working with a practitioner or working with a healthcare professional who really you trust and respect and who understands what you're going through, getting hormonal testing, like knowledge is so important, so that you aren't just like every day trying to like grasp around in the dark and then blaming yourself when things don't work. And you're feeling very reactive to things like, well, I tried carbs for like a week and it was like really stressed me out. And so now I can't do it. And then I'm doing the strict keto, but my doctor's telling me it's terrible. Like, just really trying to arm yourself with as much knowledge of like what is really happening in your body, what those physiological changes really are. It's not about you being weak or you being dumb or not being able to handle keto or all of these things. There's physical changes that are happening, and you need to figure out the best training plan, nutrition plan, whatever, that is going to support your body as you're going through these changes and trying to minimize negative side effects, trying to maximize health and digestion and sleep and stress management and muscle and all of those things. The one thing that keeps sticking with me through our course and this other course that I'm working on too is like, just this knowledge is power, because we tend to like live in this state of confusion and reactivity, and it doesn't help anything. And the more we know about the hormonal place that we're in, the more we can just make these informed, like really kind of fact-based decisions that are going to help support it. So anyway, that was a lot, but
no, I mean, I completely agree. And I do think one thing I'll say is that we do dive into this in the program. There is a nutrition manual that basically kind of lays out, especially because she mentioned like she's trying to balance it with training and building muscle and changing your body composition, which you can still absolutely do at any age. If anybody's listening, you can build muscle, change your body composition, lose body fat at probably 95 years old if you really wanted to. So that shouldn't be something that holds you back. But we talk about all this in the program, and another thing is having structure and having a plan. That's something that I'm always going to be continuing to push with anybody that I work with anybody listening to this, is that if you don't have a plan, if you don't have some type of structure and knowledge, like you talked about, it's going to be really hard to get to where you want to go. Because again, like you said, there is so much out there that there sometimes comes this paralysis analysis, right? You're hearing so many different things from so many different people on social media, on different podcasts you're listening to, and it's hard to know what to do. That's one of the things that I hear a lot is like, everybody's saying these different things. I'm trying this one thing, and then I hear someone else say it, and so I switch up to that. And that is where we start to get into issues, because again, it's the analysis paralysis. It's also not being patient with what you implement. Like if you implement that, you say, okay, I'm going to bring my carbs up to maybe 150 and try that out, like total carbs, 150, try that out for honestly, minimum 2 to 3 weeks minimum before you even make before you make any decisions. If you do this for 3 days and you're like, oh no, I feel like crap, or,
I'm hungrier or whatever.
Yeah, all this stuff, that's not enough time for your body to adjust, for you to really see what's going on, because hello, we're in real life. There's tons of other variables going on as well. That could be the things that are causing maybe that extra hunger. Maybe you didn't, I don't know, your kid's up all night and so you didn't sleep for 2 nights, didn't have good sleep for 2 nights, or you're stressed at work and now you're blaming it on the carbs for those 3 days that you try it. Like, that is why we need to take the approach of, okay, I need to implement this for a minimum of 2 weeks. And that's with anything, training, any type of nutrition change, anything like that. I like bare minimum 2 weeks before you even make a decision on what you're going to do next or how you're feeling about it or whatever. Right. So that's something to think about. That's something that we talk about in the program is, and give you that, is that structure, that plan, how to come up with your own plan, how to be knowledgeable about that, how to set, your goals, whether it is for fat loss, for body recomposition or maintenance, or to go into a building phase. Like, that's literally laid out for you. Like, these are the steps that you need to take in order to find your macros, or, find the eating style that's going to work for you, how many carbs you should start with or potentially implement depending on some different factors. Like, we have that all laid out. So that's one thing. Another thing I would say is that, and I'll kind of wrap this up because I know we're getting short on time, but focus on, and we always say this, but focus on the whole food carbs. Like, whenever you're I've been doing this for years, working with clients for years, taking them away from strict keto, bringing carbs back in, the whole metabolic flexibility side of things. But the 2 things that I will say is, whole foods is going to be your best friend when it comes to carbs. So focus on the fruits, the veggies, the tubers, the starches, those types of things, right? If it had a face at some point, which is more protein stuff, or it grew from the earth at some point.
Eat things with faces.
Yes. Did you just make that up?
Yeah. That was a banger. You heard that? Eat things.
Yeah.
I'm writing down possible names for the podcast, and this episode
with faces.
I'm debating between eat things with faces or don't blame carbs for your bad life decisions.
Oh my God. I like that one. That one's great. Wait, we should rename last episode to Bitch, I'm Lazy, because I thought that was funny when I rewatched that clip.
I guess we'll have to see if anybody else thought it was funny, but yes, I thought it was pretty good too. I thought it was pretty good. I will say, so just again, tagging on to the like whole foods carb thing and like this question in general, is that I would say, tell me if I'm wrong, but the average age of the women signing up for Muscle Science for Women, I would guess is like early 40s. Like, there are younger women, there are plenty of women in their 30s, there are plenty of women in their 50s, but like the average age is not 26. I tend to believe that the people who are signing up are people who have probably been through a couple other programs before, are maybe tired of this like yo-yo. Like, I did some like 12-week PDF that I bought online and it like worked and then it didn't. And like just people who maybe are like a little bit more looking for something a little deeper, a little bit more than like a stock program that like might work temporarily. So again, if you're listening and you're like, well, is this like right for some, I'm menopausal, or I'm, 65, or I'm
even
whatever, like, it's for everybody. It's for like young women looking to build muscle. It's for every woman of every age looking to just improve their health, learn more about their bodies, get strong, enjoy working out, all of that. So, we do cover a lot of this stuff in the course.
Yeah. No, like you said, I think the average like age range is between probably 40 and 60, with, some 30s to 40s, some even over 60. So it's for everybody. Really everyone. Yeah. But yeah, so what I was just saying, whole foods, focus on that. And then, if you're training, think about implementing those carbs around your workout. That's going to be the best place to start, because then you'll be able to, not from just a physiological standpoint, but from a mental standpoint too. It's a lot easier to be like, okay, I'm going to, eat this carb and then go train hard. So you have not just the energy coming in from those carbs to be able to put towards your training, but we also know that your body is most insulin sensitive around your workout. So you're going to be putting those carbs to good use before and after in that recovery side of things. So that's where I always recommend starting. If you're like nervous to implement carbs, start, implementing around your workout pre and or post. And we talk all about nutrient timing and exactly what that means and what that looks like. And even like so many different ideas in the main nutrient timing lesson in the Muscle Science Forum program. So a 20th plug for that on this episode.
20th plug. That's the only thing we want to leave you with is just sign up for the course. It's really good. There's a ton of information. You get to hang out with us. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. All right. Good luck with your ankle, and
good luck with
go on
your
any more hikes.
Traveling.
I will keep you posted, you guys. I mean, obviously it will have been done and everyone will see whether I succeeded or not by the time that this is out, but everything will be great. I'll get a tan and it'll be fantastic. And we'll see you again next Tuesday. Yep. That's when we send out another podcast. Yeah, it's Tuesdays.
Tuesday. Cool.
Strong ending as always. All right. Bye guys.
Bye.